What's up, Euro Football Daily? Today we're taking a look at 5 club takeovers which could have a big impact on the game over the next few years. Let's go. 5. Redbird and AC Milan. The 2010s were a famously dark decade for AC Milan, with the Italian giants winning just one piece of major silverware during the 10-year period, their longest trophyless spell since the Second World War. But since the club's acquisition by the Elliott Management Corporation in 2018, the Rossoneri have been on the up, securing hit after hit in the transfer market and striking gold with the appointment of Stefano Pioli. And it now looks like Milan will continue their rise in the future, as just 10 days after they sealed their first Serie A title since 2011, it was announced that investment company Redbird Capital had agreed a €1.2 billion deal to take over the Italian champions. And unlike with many other takeovers, this one will not bring sweeping changes, with the new owners focused on continuing the good work that is already being done at the San Siro. Club director Paolo Maldini and sporting director Ricky Massara will stay put, as will manager Pioli, while CEO Ivan Gazidis is expected to remain in place until November 2022 at least. But even if there are to be some alterations behind the scenes, the club is seemingly in good hands. They have invested in Fenway Sports Group, who over the last decade returned Liverpool to the top of English and European football, hold a 15% stake in Indian cricket giants Rajasthan Royals, work with basketball legend LeBron James, and took over French club Toulouse following their relegation from Lyon in 2020, returning them to the top flight this year, with analytics at the heart of their success. And Redbird founder Jerry Cardinali has said all the right things so far, stressing that his aim at Milan is to be a great steward. If all goes to plan, we could finally see the Rossoneri reclaim their place among Europe's elite, where the far richer clubs of the Premier League are now dominating. With Redbird's investment, fans will also hope to see plans for a new stadium finally come to fruition, something that CEO Gazidis claims can revitalise Italian football as a whole and help bridge the financial gap between Milan and the big clubs in England. With the 7-time European Cup winners having already made strides in increasing their commercial revenue in recent years under Elliott management, there seems little doubt that their new owners will continue that upward trend. By the end of the 2020s, we could see the Rossoneri battling it out for Europe's biggest prize with the likes of Liverpool, Madrid and Bayern once again. 4. Todd Boehly and Chelsea. After 19 years of Roman Abramovich bankrolling them to glory in domestic and European competition, Chelsea finally said goodbye to the man who transformed the club in 2022, with the Russian oligarch forced to sell up in the wake of Vladimir Putin's invasion of Ukraine as part of the UK government's sanctions programme. And after over 2 months of uncertainty, a deal was finally agreed with a consortium led by investment firm Clearlake Capital and Todd Boehly, who owns 20% of US baseball franchise Los Angeles Dodgers and also has a stake in basketball outfits Los Angeles Sparks and LA Lakers. While Abramovich kick-started an era of unprecedented wealth and excessive spending in the beautiful game, with a seemingly bottomless wallet seeing the Blues rack up a net spend of around £400 million in just 4 years between 2003-04 and 2007-08, the early signs from the new ownership suggest the club could follow a different model in years to come. In fairness, Chelsea's transfer strategy did become more sustainable following UEFA's introduction of financial fair play, with Arsenal, Man United and Man City all sustaining higher net spends between 2011-12 and 2016-17. But with reports that Bowley is targeting former Liverpool sporting director Michael Edwards, we may be about to see Chelsea adopt the more analytics-driven, Moneyball approach that has served the Merseyside club so well under the ownership of FSG. Signing undervalued players with superstar potential while negotiating inflated fees for those they want to sell. For this kind of transfer strategy to work, Chelsea needs to have a long-term tactical ethos that underpins every decision on signings, and means that Bowley will likely have to break with another Abramovich tradition, breaking the cycle of hiring and firing that came to define the Blues' rise over the last 2 decades. Luckily for him, he has inherited Thomas Tuchel, who is very much a project manager. Not only are we like to see fewer overpriced purchases like Lukaku and Shevchenko, superstars who failed to fit the system of the manager in place at the time, but we should also expect managers to be given more time to succeed at Stamford Bridge. By extension, the Blues are less likely to give up early on players like Kevin De Bruyne and Mo Salah in the future, with instant success less of a priority. As this is being written, they are battling for the signature of £65 million rated Rafinha, and are also targeting Raheem Sterling and Matthijs de Ligt. But whereas the club was previously run on the basis of spending with a view to short-term success as a priority, something which delivered lots of silverware but also saw the side seriously underperform in a number of campaigns, Blues fans may no longer experience the peaks and troughs of the past. The next few years could instead see the club's progress become steadier and more carefully managed. 3. John Textor and Lyon. Another American businessman who has recently got involved in football is John Textor, who in the last year has bought a significant stake in Crystal Palace and become owner of Brazilian outfits Botafogo, Belgian second-tier club RWD Molenbeek, and most recently French giants Lyon. That is quite a 12 months, and the takeover of Lyon is particularly significant given it brings an end to Jean-Michel Aulard's 35-year stewardship of the club. Aulard is staying on as president and has been given freedom to run the club, but fans will be hoping the new owner can breathe fresh life into a side that has underperformed domestically in recent seasons, last finishing in the top 3 of Ligue 1 in 2018-19 and last winning a title all the way back in 2008. Of course, a lot has changed in French football since OL's glory days of the 2000s, with PSG the richest club in the league by some distance and by extension clear favourites to win the league each year, although Lyon's supremacy in the women's game remains intact, having won 6 of the last 7 Champions Leagues. Aulard has described Textor as an accelerator for our current and future projects, with Forbes reporting the new owner had paid $846 million to acquire the controlling stake. And while he is relatively new to the world of football, he has clear ideas about how the game should be played. A big admirer of Bayern Munich and Man City, Textor has previously said he likes teams to advance the entire formation up the field, retain possession at all costs, and dominate the opponents with possession and pace. Given Lyon are generally known for attacking attractive football, he seems to be in the right place, although it will be interesting to see how much of a say he has in the future of manager Peter Bosz, who led the side to a disappointing 8th place finish last term, but has retained the support of President Aulard. And if he wants to return the club to the top of the French game, then investments is sorely needed. They've spent €50 million or more in a season just twice since 2010, something PSG have done in all but 2 campaigns in the same time frame. For the good of French football, let's hope Textor can help spark a glorious new era at the Groupama Stadium. 2. The Public Investment Fund and Newcastle. Just months before Russia's invasion of Ukraine saw the aforementioned Roman Abramovich sanctioned by the UK government and forced to sell Chelsea, Newcastle were bought by the Public Investment Fund, the sovereign wealth fund of Saudi Arabia, whose leadership are heavily involved in a deadly war in neighbouring Yemen, described by UNICEF as one of the largest humanitarian crises in the world, and have long been condemned by human rights groups such as Amnesty International, with Human Rights Watch accusing them of war crimes in 2019. And in May of this year, a Guardian investigation found that the UK government, quote, worked for months to encourage the Premier League to approve the controversial Saudi Arabia-backed takeover of Newcastle United, something Prime Minister Boris Johnson had previously denied, while it was reported last October that all 19 other Premier League clubs were opposed to the deal. Of course, sports washing, described by online publication National World as being when an individual, group, corporation or nation state uses sport to improve its reputation and public image, is nothing new in the Premier League, with the Abu Dhabi United's group takeover of Man City in 2008, a move which has since evolved into the multi-club City Football Group, and Abramovich's takeover of Chelsea 5 years earlier, the prime examples. In footballing terms, the PIF's takeover of Newcastle will not reshape the Premier League in as dramatic a fashion as those 2 examples, due to the financial regulation now present within the European game, but there's little doubt that the Magpies are on the cusp of becoming major players in the English top flight once again. In the second half of the 21-22 season, only Man City, Liverpool and Tottenham accrued more points, while only 4 clubs conceded fewer than their 20 goals. The successful appointment of Eddie Howe and some significant and smart business in the January transfer window was to thank for this, and they have stayed true to form this summer, with the signings of Sven Botman and Nick Pope representing upgrades at centre-back and in goal. If their form under Howe is anything to go by, then Newcastle have a real shot at challenging for a top 6 position next term, and it may not be too long before we see them return to the Champions League for the first time since 2003. By 2030, who knows what heights they'll have reached. One thing's for sure, state-owned clubs are only growing increasingly powerful within football. 1. Wagmi United and Crawley Town. Cryptocurrency and NFTs have become increasingly prominent in the football world over the last 2 years, with clubs scrambling to get crypto-related sponsors on their shirts, digital assets being marketed at fans through the Socios platform, and top players encouraging people to sign up to risky NFT schemes online. And now the crypto world has its first representatives in actual club ownership, with American investors Wagmi United announcing their takeover of Crawley Town back in April. The group was co-founded by professional gambler and former ESPN analyst Preston Johnson, and includes businessman, motivational speaker and YouTube personality Gary Vee, who has infamously told audience members at his talks to imagine their loved ones have been murdered as a technique for finding happiness. And Wagmi, named after the catchphrase "we're all gonna make it," which is popular within crypto investment circles, have big ideas for Crawley, a club whose average attendance last term stood at 2,293, the second lowest in League Two. They want to, quote, build a worldwide community of fans, stretching from West Sussex to anywhere in the world with an internet connection. This essentially means converting people from the online crypto community into Crawley fans and getting them to invest in the club by buying their NFTs. For example, their new third kit is only available to fans who invest in their range of non-fungible tokens, and those who do invest will be buying a so-called virtual season ticket, which gives them a say in how the club is run, for example, how the transfer budget is spent. Speaking to the I newspaper, Preston Johnson also said that match-going physical season ticket holders would also be granted such privileges, with NFTs primarily aimed at bringing in enthusiasts across the globe rather than being pushed on local supporters. Nevertheless, he has conceded that his model will be seen as weird and risky, especially given the recent crash in the crypto and NFT market and the new ownership's lofty ambitions of taking Crawley to the Premier League. But while there is plenty for skeptics to be concerned about, to Wagmi's credit, they are putting their money where their mouth is. They've already signed Dom Telford, League Two's top scorer last term with Newport County, as well as picking up Liverpool teenager James Balagizi on loan and hiring Arsenal under-23s coach Kevin Betsy as manager. They have also donated an initial £10,000 to the Crawley Town Community Foundation and will hope their partnership with branding giant Adidas, who are exclusively manufacturing Crawley's kits in League Two, will help boost their appeal overseas. And in a move that will no doubt curry favour with the local fan base, they are cutting season ticket prices by up to 34% and have raised the free admission age for children attending with an adult from 12 to 15. But whether this will prove profitable or successful in the long term is far from certain. Wagmi and Crawley are taking a step into the relative unknown. It could be a glimpse into the future of football ownership or a disaster waiting to happen. So those were 5 takeovers that we think could define the next decade, but what did you make of our selection? Which of these stories is the most compelling, and do you have any shouts yourself? Let us know in the comments below, and who knows, we might do a part 2 in the future. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like and subscribe to Euro Football Daily if you haven't done so already. Thanks for watching, we'll see you next time.